I'll rip and screaming from your soul. We'll watch it fall. Now you come to walk on. Come and set your light through. Just set your light through before we're only whispers in the
Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
Afraid
Says 13:10. Right now.
And 5 seconds in. Yeah, there we go. Cool.
Hello, all you weebs, and welcome to Grappling with the Week, the show that brings you the hottest wrestling news and highlights from the steamy kitchens of NXT to the gritty, fast-paced action of AEW. We talk about it all and give you a big discussion piece to truly satisfy that hunger of wrestling content. Brought to you by Anime Week Studios and hosted by your Weebs of the Ring. Enough of the introductions. Let's stomp a mud hole into this week. So, I am here, the genius of the sky, dropped this box along with our world champion Watkins. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing all right today. It's a Thursday night. The weekend's almost here. We almost got SmackDown tomorrow. Granted, it's another 3-hour show, but hey, that's whatever. Neither here nor there. We got some news to talk about tonight, don't we?
You definitely do. A lot of stuff transpired within the week. We wanted to save it because it was going to be our big topic, because a lot of discussion there, because there's a lot of names, especially from WWE side, and it should just be fun once we fully dive into that later. And just in case you're wondering where the backstage Stan is, he is currently on hiatus right now. He's a little busy doing something, so you'll probably see him show up. I'm gonna say possibly tomorrow, maybe Raw next week. He'll show up whenever he does, just like Sasuke did in Naruto. So we'll just worry about that time when it comes. But we're going to start off with our greater wrestling media, which the segment, just in case there's new people that happen to tune into the show, because I assume that's probably a thing. You'll see Ricky Starks being the big topic and you'll find this video. But just in case you guys are new, the segment we usually do right here, it's just used for highlighting and the indie promotion we go to. So hypothetically, if Vash, he's been to House of Glory, he goes there, he'll share his stories. Or if you want to just dive into any news we want to discuss. So the first thing that I did see earlier this week that me and Watkins are going to dive into is Hogan and Real American Beer being sued. So when I initially saw this, I was confused because I didn't really know the full story. So I'm actually going to I'm actually going to click on this article before we get into it. But what was your initial thoughts when you first saw this pop up on the timeline?
So the first time I saw it, I saw it was like a picture with him and his beer can, and at first I thought, oh, maybe they're getting sued because the can kind of looks like Pabst Blue Ribbon. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's some sort of suing going on because of licensing or whatever. But it's kind of I don't mean to laugh at what actually happened, but it is kind of funny when you read about what happens, when you hear about what happens. But yeah, my initial thought was oh, maybe it's PBR trying to get some money out of Hogan, which I don't blame them on that front, because
honestly, yeah,
the beer can does kind of look like a PBR can now that I look at it.
Yeah. So when I initially saw it, like I said, I was confused. I didn't know what it was about. And then I glimpsed at a little bit. I guess it's about a injury that a woman suffered from the Real American Beer. So just to provide more context on that, it says that Hulk Hogan and his Real American Beer Company, which WWE is a part owner of, which again, I don't know if that's really a good look on the company, considering that I believe it's still on the mat for Raw. So
yeah,
maybe that's something you should look into. Fox State has reported that Michelle, I don't even want to pronounce that last name. I'm going to butcher it. Yeah, there you go. From Akron, Ohio, filed a lawsuit against Hogan, Real American Beer, and Thirsty Cowboys on February 10th over an injury she suffered at Real American Beer promotional event on August 19th, 2024. The Real American Beer event was held at Thirsty Cowboys in Edina, Ohio, and she has alleged negligence causing injury after a sealed beer can was thrown 50 feet and hit her on the forehead. Photos of a can-shaped wound on her forehead were included in the lawsuit, and she required close to 10 stitches following the incident. The lawsuit alleges that Hulk Hogan and other promoters for Real American Beer were riling up the crowd by throwing free cans into the crowd, and one of them threw the beer can that struck her. The alleged victim, who was standing near the back wall when the beer hit her, has claimed she never saw the beer can coming towards her, didn't have the chance to avoid it. So, initial comments, she had an open wound to her forehead. It was pretty big. She ended up needing a number of stitches in her forehead, and she's going to have some permanent scarring from that. Media township police responded to the incident after it happened, but no charges were filed as officers were not determined who threw the beer. In the lawsuit, she's seeking damages for medical expenses, pain and suffering, and emotional distress. And like we talked about before we dived into this, it's also one of the logos on the Monday Night Raw wrestling map. So I'm just gonna come off and say that I hope she gets better and she's able to be in a stable condition. And I would definitely avoid going to places like this because, I mean, they usually get really crazy like this, especially if you're going to like some metal concert. Like I especially remember over the summer, they have like those little mosh pits and stuff. You throw yourself in there, you're going to get your ass handed to you. Usually a lot of events like this when it involves alcohol or whatever the case may be, they usually get pretty wild. And I don't know. I mean, it's different if you're throwing t-shirts and stuff, but throwing cans, like I don't think that was a bright idea to do that.
Yeah, especially unopened cans.
Yeah.
Because those things can be pretty dense, and especially after you shake some up. Yeah, that pressure's gonna be building up in that can. So the fact that she had like an open wound from it too, you would think that I mean, obviously she had to go to the hospital, but like you would think too, because like this happened back in August. I don't know. It seems kind of weird that it's coming out like 6 months later. I don't know if that's because of just having all the medical expenses and having to pay for them and figure out what she's gonna do beyond that. But yeah, I mean, when I first heard the story, I didn't really hear a lot of the details until going into the article and all that. So like, yeah, this is kind of a bad look for Hogan and this All American Beer. Because, yeah, you don't, as much as you want to rile your crowd up, as much as you want to, get everybody going and all that, you should probably not throw beer cans out into the crowd like that.
And I don't know if they should really advertise this promotion as much longer, because outside of this, Hulk Hogan has been doing nothing for them when it comes to advertising his brand.
Yeah.
Because when he came out there, he got a lot of boos. Obviously, that's signs saying that, we don't really care to see you here. Like, obviously, people are going to bring up the whole thing. We know he did for the industry, yada, this, yada, yada, that. But this is a different time now. We passed that. Things evolved. And looking at incidents like this, and you just have that slapped on the mat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really a good... I don't know if that's, like, really a good idea. And also, just people talking about the beer. Like, I even was watching one of JD's streams that he did for TNT, where him and Jason try the American beer, because apparently you can only get this at like certain places. I haven't looked myself, but I know it's only sold in certain places. And I know when they did a show in Chicago for House of Glory, they actually went over there because I guess it was available in the area. And he set up a sub goal where if they hit a certain sub goal on there, because that's like a new thing you can do on streams, they would end up doing whatever goal it was. And they both tried it, and they pretty much said that it tastes like a watered down Miller Lite. I don't really drink alcohol as much, but that's basically what they said it tastes like. So, first of all, beer isn't that good. And then you just have all these different kind of shenanigans going on. I mean, who knows what's going to happen beyond this? And even like Taker, and we talked about this last week's episode of like Seth Rollins coming out and saying, he gets what's coming towards him. And obviously this isn't like Hulk Hogan throwing the beer at people, but just again, it's not a good look. You have all these different kinds of shit coming out. I mean, if I was promoting a brand and my shit was out there getting all chaotic, I wouldn't want my brand slapped out on a company. I would want to resolve whatever's going on, but
Yeah, same here. And I was just looking to see if I could even get it in my area. None of the places like near my work, near my home, I can't get it. So I can't be like, oh, I'll try for you guys. Because,
yeah.
I mean, I went through my Miller Lite stage in college. Actually, one of my go-to beers when I was drinking a lot of beer was Miller High Life. Because, hey, it's the champagne of beers, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't really drink beer too much anymore.
No.
It's more of just the mixed drinks and all that. But like even still, it's just like, watered down Miller Lite. No, thank you. I'm good.
No.
I'm good off that.
So moving on to somebody that we try not to talk about too much on the show, to somebody that's a legend in the game that recently became a part of the Hall of Fame a couple years ago. We have our boy Rey Mysterio. And apparently what happened to Rey Mysterio, which I'm honestly surprised they're doing this now, because Rey Mysterio has been doing this for years. Rey Mysterio cut back on superhero gear following cease and desist letters from Marvel. So, just to give you guys a general idea, Rey Mysterio, when he comes out, he normally has like these specialized costumes, his luchador mask whenever he comes out. Like if you guys recall during Halloween Havoc, that match he had with Eddie all those years ago, or just any special themed event, you know, he's always trying to spice things up and have that sort of look to him. And I recall he had like a Wolverine outfit at times. He did a Captain America one. But yeah, Rey Mysterio, cease and desist letter from Marvel. It says right here, Rey Mysterio is a fan of cosplay and the iconic luchador, known for dressing as comic book characters, especially at WrestleMania. However, it seems, though, Mysterio's homages to comic books have to slow to a halt due to Marvel Comics sending cease and desist letters to WWE, with Mysterio revealing the following to Unlikely. Actually, WWE had to shut me down for a minute because I was getting too exaggerated. It's my logo. I'm just using their Marvel's colors and maybe a Captain America star here in the gloves, but I don't change anything. With this outfit, I have a dope idea I want to put into work, and I'm hoping I'm able to bust it out. Overall, it's always been an inspiration. When I did the first one, I was in AAA. I did a Superman outfit. I used to wear tights and trunks over the tights. And the logo on the trunks had the Superman logo without a question mark in the colors. I just wore a red cape. People got what I was trying to do. I did Batman, Spider-Man, and I carried that with me to WWE until they told me, hey, maybe you got to stop a little bit because we're getting cease and desist letters, said Mysterio. Mysterio famously bore homage to Spider-Man and King, features the Phantom during his run in WCW, and that's probably what I was referencing with that Halloween Havoc match. And later paid homage to Captain America and Silver Surfer, as well as DC Comics Joker, Batman, and The Flash in WWE. Mysterio also dressed as Wolverine at All In, which is the other one I referenced. So I'm going to leave the floor to you for this one. Like, what is your thoughts on this whole entire thing that
I mean, it's kind of silly. Like, on one hand, I get like a cease and desist and all that because, hey, we don't want you making money off of our characters, blah, blah, blah. Like, on one hand, I get that because some of these businesses are just kind of ridiculous with that. But at the same time, Marvel, just take whatever, just take whatever you can get. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's Rey Mysterio. He loves doing this, and he does it every so often and all that. Mainly, again, at WrestleManias and everything. But, like, you guys can use the free billboard, you know? Like, people are going to be seeing Marvel stuff regardless, whether it's the comics or the movies. You guys are going to be making the money anyways.
Yeah.
Just let them do it, you know? I mean, you don't see freaking Shueisha or Toei Animation or anything going after the New Day for doing their Saiyan outfits.
Zelina too.
Or Zelina.
Yeah,
like Zelina's a big one right now. I mean, hell, look at her hair.
Yeah, Todoroki inspired.
Exactly. So it's just like, guys, come on, just let them be. But that could also just be me not really knowing too much about the copyright system and all that, because the copyright laws are just messed up to begin with. You know,
Oh, yeah.
just because that's the thing. Like, I guess maybe it doesn't fall into like parody or anything like that. But again, it's like you're paying homage to the characters, and like you said in here, like it's not like he's using their logo specifically. It's like I'm just using their color scheme and all
Yeah.
that. So like with things like the Silver Surfer or even Captain America, it's like okay, he's not being those characters. It's just this is just inspired by those characters. Now, when he walks out dressed as Heath Ledger's Joker, I could see where there's something where it's like, okay, you are doing this on a big stage and all that. But the other thing too, he's not making money off of it. He's just dressing it during his wrestling match. Like the money he's making is from the wrestling match, not from like, oh, here's the Rey Mysterio figure as the Joker. It's like he's not making money off of that unless again they have a partnership. Like I know they have a partnership with like TMNT and all that, so it's like okay, they could probably do that and get away with it, but I don't know. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, it's weird to me too because it's like you're gonna start giving CM Punk cease and desist letters when he shows up with a Blobber in Time shirt. He recently wore like a Marvel T-shirt when he was like those little opening videos of him arriving to the show. You're gonna give him cease and desist letters. I mean, it's like, I get the whole copyright thing at the end of the day, but again, they're not selling this in WWE's shop. You don't see like different kinds of Rey Mysterio outfits being sold on there, or his luchador mask. You don't see that being sold on there. So it's like Watkins said, he's not making money off of the outfits alone. It's just for presentation, especially like we talked about in the article when it comes to WrestleMania. When you think about WrestleMania, you usually get those special entrances, which is something that we all enjoy. You get those special outfits that you normally see only at WrestleMania. And then you see, like, just the overall presentation, just as a fan, looking how everything comes together just to make that moment feel special. That's all it is at the end of the day. He's not going out there saying that he's this character or that character. So if anything, I would just look at it and be like, hey, it's free publicity. But at the same time, WWE is a big enough company, so I would assume by default, and I could be wrong because obviously I'm not behind the scenes or anything, that I would assume it would be okay, considering they have a lot of money on their hands. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he's making money off of his matches. He's been in the game for so long, and it's just weird how, now it's a thing compared to all those years ago. It always happens later. Like I know this is like a random thing to bring up, but Super Mario 3D Land, when that game came out, Super Mario Bros. 3 came out in like the late 90s, and Super Mario 3D Land came out. They were bringing back that game just to bring back that feel of it and everything. And then PETA started attacking Mario because he was wearing the Tanuki suit. So it's like this has been a thing since like the late 80s. Now it's something that's being brought up now. And trust me, I'm not going to be talking about any PETA stuff in here. I'm just bringing up, for example, saying that this has been a reoccurring thing for years. And all of a sudden, poof, we're doing it now. I don't know. It's just weird how the world operates with this kind of system.
It really is. Just don't be dicks. That's basically it, I guess. I don't know.
So, the next one might be like a part 2 of what we talked about last week, which is why I told Watkins and Vash that I honestly can't really believe this is gonna happen at Mania because they change things every fucking day. They say this is gonna happen, and they look at what people say online. Oh, now let's scratch that. Let's add this in here because maybe people will like it. So things change all the time, so I can't really take everything in stone. So what I mean by that is Cultaholic reported on something that revolves around our WWE champion, Cody Rhodes. Obviously, he's going to be ending off night 2 of WrestleMania, rightfully deserved because he is a WWE champion. And like we talked about in last week's show, there was a rumor we discussed about CM Punk versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. Now it seems like that might not be in the cards anymore because now we got Punk thrown in a match where it says right here, to give you guys more context, this is coming from WrestleVote Backstage Pass. You could find this on Patreon, but normally you see it reported online a little bit later. But if you guys want to go on and support them, be sure to do so. They're great. But it says right here, some people within WWE reportedly want CM Punk to be added to the planned Cody Rhodes versus John Cena match at WrestleMania. I don't know if it's been discussed in any official capacity, but I do know there are people there that would rather that match than Reigns versus Punk versus Rollins. If that matters at all, I don't know, but I do know that there are some people who would prefer that. That's literally it. So,
yeah,
I'm going to throw the ball to Watkins. What is your initial thoughts on that?
I mean, for one, I would much prefer that one compared to Rollins versus Reigns versus Punk. I think Punk inserting himself into the main event in a triple threat like that would be better, at least for me. But I mean, it also depends on how they book it, how they decide to tell that story and all that. But like, yeah, I could see that happening more than the triple threat with Rollins and Reigns. Because like, even now, I mean, there were some videos coming out today with Reigns doing some 2K25 stuff, and he was talking some shit on Seth Rollins. Like, even the guy that was with him, they were like, "Oh yeah, he kind of looks like Seth," and Roman's was basically saying, "Oh yeah, I'd like to punch him in the face right now." He even, while they were doing the showcase too for it, as they were playing, Roman almost got himself disqualified in the match because he wanted to hit Rollins with a chair during the match. So yeah, there's more money for that match being a singles feud.
Oh yeah.
Whereas with Punk inserting himself with like Cena, if he wins the chamber, that is, inserting himself with like Cena and Cody for that match. And I mean, there's a caveat right there to get the title onto Cena with not having Cody getting pinned and all that, but still losing. But I mean, that's a discussion for another time. But like, I mean, it kind of ties in well with our other story too, with like Drew McIntyre's opponent for Mania possibly being changed as well. Like, it makes you think, you know, how WWE really takes into consideration the online discourse and the online discussion and all that. Because like a lot of people were upset with Drew's opponent, which I don't want to be upset because, again, like, what am I trying to say? It's almost like a detriment to Damian Priest, who's also been putting in really good work. So it's like, that's not fair to Priest either. If you guys are gonna shit on Drew McIntyre getting a match with Priest, because I think they could pull out something really good. But I do understand the argument to be had where it's like, okay, Drew put in all this great work in 2024, and you know his WrestleMania opponent is gonna be Damian Priest. Like, I get that argument, but like, I don't want to put down Damian Priest for that argument either, because he's also put in some good work.
Yeah. So it's like my initial thoughts on like the new triple threat that's going around. I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt because, again, they report these things all the time. Last week it was CM Punk, Reigns, and Rollins. Now it's Cody, Cena, and CM Punk. So again, I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt. The way I'm gonna look at it is from two ways. First way, I could potentially see it if they want to head down that direction, because I feel like it would be a good moment, especially to see Cena and Punk on the stage. But at the same time, I'm also trying to look at it from this perspective, where I'm like, why does everything need to be like triple threat matches? Because I noticed this has been a reoccurring theme with a lot of these potential matches. Like, now that Rhea's getting her match with Io Sky post-Chamber, now people are speculating that possibly Io gets screwed over in that match and it turns into a triple threat with Io, Bianca, and Rhea, Bianca, and Io at Mania, potentially, because people don't know when Io's going to fall on the card if she doesn't win that match. So it's like, I don't know the whole theme of like, we got to do triple threat. If it was up to me personally, I would just do Cody and Punk, only because I just really want to see that played off, because they teased it last year. They teased it again. There's a lot of things they can pull apart, like they brought up in their promos, how they came up together, the whole thing with them in AEW. They could reference things, probably not saying the company's name out loud, but they could reference things of where they are, how Cody changed the game, CM Punk coming back in the business, yada this, yada that. A lot of stuff to play off of. So if it was up to me personally, I would just go ahead and do that match, because I don't know, there's just a part of me where it's like, I love John Cena. I've been a Cena fan ever since I was a little kid. But it's just hard for me to really look past the fact that he's telling the story where it's like, I got to get all these wins under my belt. And I don't want this to be a consolation prize where he just wins the chamber and gets the event like that. And then I don't want the favor just for Punk to be added into that match, because the way that they're hyping it up, it seems like it's beyond that. Like, oh, I need to be put into this match. It's like, it's almost like one of those things they're trying to present to us that's like kind of one of those things that like catches you off guard, where it's like you think it's going to head down that direction, but it's not. Because if you're looking at it from that perspective, knowing his whole goal when he came back saying, oh, if I don't win the chamber, then I'm going to get put into this match, you better help me, it would kind of be a little bit overwhelming, underwhelming to me, because I was just expecting more out of that favor. So I'm hoping this is just a discussion like the last one is, because I'd rather do something like Cena and Drew. Like I'll actually just dive into that now. You got Drew McIntyre.
Exactly.
A lot of discourse being talking online. A lot of people, like Watkins said, he had a great year, which I agree. Probably Drew McIntyre's best career, with probably the best he's looked in his career, to be perfectly honest, when he got into that feud with CM Punk to just skyrocket him to levels. And I definitely see him becoming a WWE champion within this year. I mean, he's personally the one I see dethroning Cody Rhodes at like SummerSlam. If I'm being perfectly honest, could easily see the guy winning King of the Ring and calling his shot there, because there also is reports about him potentially having a program at Cody. So it's like, I can understand people will be like, oh, well, we might want to say a little thing more than Priest. But you can't put Priest down because he's also had a great year. We could also look at, they could easily tell the story with Drew and Priest based on what happened at Mania last year, and you could sort of spin that on this year. But I kind of like how there could potentially be a match of him and LA Knight. It's not set in stone, but I kind of like the idea that's in motion, where they kind of play off on those backstage moments that happen, like real life things, like actually making it into a story and playing it off that way. That's honestly like the sort of impression that I got with Drew's tweets towards LA Knight, where like he put out that video the other day saying a fan showing off all of LA Knight's WWE championships, and is literally just a guy getting his tattoos removed, and there was nothing there. LA Knight fired back at him, and then Drew fired back at him again, saying, you know, try again harder, Chief. So it's like, I can easily see that being the feud. You play off of backstage politics, or whatever you want to call it, play off of that. Both of the guys are good on the promos. They could put on a good match. I wouldn't be against that, but I mean, hey, also Drew has been requesting Cena too. He's been really wanting Cena so damn bad. And if you look at Cena versus Drew McIntyre at Mania, no one's complaining for that. That would be a great program. You're thinking about, like we talked about before, Gunther being a roadblock. Fuck, Drew would be a perfect roadblock for John Cena too, especially look at all the shit he put Punk through. Imagine what he could do with Cena, calling him washed, saying he can't get 17, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things play out with that, because again, things change all the time, and we're just in for the ride now, which is also why I put in the title is weird WrestleMania season buildup. So and trust me, I think when we get to like the week of WrestleMania, when we do this show, I think that'll be a good time to kind of talk about the build, because at this point in time, this WrestleMania build's been really weird, and this was always my worry after last year's Mania, because we had all the stuff with like the Bloodline and Jimmy and Jay, Cody and Rock, Roman, Seth, even the stuff going into like Seth and Drew. Like there was a lot of good build for the road to WrestleMania last year, and that was my biggest concern this year, is like, how do we up the ante with that? How do we make this WrestleMania even better? And like right now, I just don't know. But I think when we get to the week of, I think that'll be a good time to kind of dive into just the build for the matches and all that. Kind of shying away from like news and other coverage, because like I think we should really dive deep into that at that point in time to kind of really see just how this build has been for Mania. Definitely. Speaking of Mania, we actually have a update from Fightful on the WrestleMania 42 location, which shouldn't be a surprise because this has been a topic of discussion for quite some time now. But it says from Fightful that the location for WrestleMania 42 in 2026 will be announced prior to Mania 41 this year. The Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana, has been a lock for months to host the event next year. So, like I said, this has been an ongoing discussion for quite some time now. So, definitely expect to see 42 in New Orleans next year. What is your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what WrestleMania that was.
Which one?
The New Orleans
one.
It wasn't 37, was it?
No, so they were there for 30 and 34.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
30, yeah. Mm-hmm. Because 30 was Daniel Bryan's rise to fame and power and all that stuff. And then 34, what happened at 34? That was, I think that was the return of the Hardys, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't remember that one. But yeah, I'm excited because like that place is usually like a good location for WrestleMania. A lot of big stuff does happen, even though I can't really recall 34 off the top of my head. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm excited if they're going back there again. I mean, the Superdome, again, a really good arena, a really good area to be in for WrestleMania. I know they usually they usually do have a lot of fun being down there for the event. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it is. It'll be really cool.
I have nothing against
That's
that.
all I got for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, me either. It's at least been a while since they've been down there, so at least comparatively, because like when you look at back from like, oh, they went there in 30, and then 4 years later they're back there, it's like, oh, that seems a little close, doesn't it, everybody? But it's fine. Wait, no, yeah, Daniel Bryan came back at 34. That's right. He had the tag match with Shane against Kevin and Sammy that night. So
that's
okay,
also when he got the infamous. The infamous spot with Shinsuke and AJ too.
With Dick Kick City. Oh, that's where the streak ended with Asuka. Okay, yeah, no, all right.
Yeah,
don't do things like that at this WrestleMania. Like, don't do that, please.
On the bright side, though, WWE recently signed Demolition to Legends deals. And it says right here, WWE has signed Demolition, William, 80, and Barry Darsow to Legends deals. 80 and WWF were involved in a long legal battle over rights to the Demolition name for many years. Demolition were also part of the CTE lawsuit against WWE that was eventually dismissed. Great. Put them in the Hall of Fame.
Yep, put them in the Hall of Fame. I would expect them to probably be DLC for 2K25. Maybe like later in the year, but yeah, I mean they're a record-setting tag team too. I mean, before the New Day broke their record, they were the longest reigning WWE tag team champions. So yeah, I mean, yeah, put them in the Hall of Fame, get them their dues and all that. Yeah, get them a paycheck.
Oh yes.
Yep.
So the next thing we do is more Netflix goodies coming that's related to WWE. And what I'm referring to is a new WWE docuseries / New Age vlog show is coming to Netflix sometime during the spring, focusing on WWE Raw's move to the platform. We'll also follow lives of superstars inside and outside of the ring. So instead of us just watching Raw every week or whatever things they have on there until their Peacock deal is up, and I would assume they would probably shift over to Netflix, we got a docuseries to look forward to. This should be fun. I actually like a lot of stuff like this, like even the stuff they put on the YouTube channel, like where they're showing the behind the scenes with the Royal Rumble and just all of those extra things you don't normally see on television. I mean, it should be good.
Yeah, they usually put on some good shows. Like I think it's called like WWE 24, where it's like basically the day of a big event or something. So like
Yeah.
the first one that comes to mind is Edge's return, like
Oh,
back
yeah.
in 2020. I think they had an episode like that where it shows like how he was able to get into the arena and all that. I think they did one too recently. I don't know if it was a WWE 24 one, but it was the one where Punk came back. They had some backstage stuff from that as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some stuff like that. I think it depends on the star and the event and all that they show, whether or not I'll check it out or anything. Because I do know at least with like the reality side of things, obviously they've had like the Total Divas stuff and all that, but like the recent one too, they had one with like Montez Ford and Bianca Belair, which seemed to go over pretty well. I don't know if they got like a second season for that or anything, but it is always cool just to kind of see these shows or docuseries go on where it's like you see some of the backstage stuff, and obviously they're not showing you everything, but like
Yeah.
they're showing you enough to like kind of see the environment that goes on in WWE, and whether that part's staged or not. I mean, it's still kind of cool to see behind the curtain at certain points.
Speaking of things happening behind the curtain, we had a WWE Hall of Famer actually make her return at the Royal Rumble. I was actually really happy for this because before a lot of the other women's wrestlers came, okay, they came out wrong. When before a lot of
Nah, it
these
came out right.
before a lot of these other wrestlers that became huge fans of later on in life, Trish Stratus was always she probably still is my like all-time favorite. But
Mhm.
there's actually some news on Trish Stratus where it says Trish Stratus will sometimes make pitches to WWE, and she is a constant piece of discussion for the company. Stratus is expected to be involved with WWE in some capacity heading into the WWE Chamber event as the show is in her hometown of Toronto. And I know normally when we get things like this, they usually like having special moments for the superstars. That's why I mentioned when we did a whole discussion on Sammy and KO, if they don't hold it off until Mania, I wouldn't be surprised if they gave them some sort of moment in Toronto, considering that they're both from Canada, and maybe they want to give them like
Mhm.
some sort of hometown feel with like the audience behind him. I can only imagine the emotion in this match. But Toronto, Canada, which is her exact hometown, they could easily do something with Trish. And what is your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, they could easily do something with Trish at Elimination Chamber, whether it's hosting the event, because I
Yeah,
mean, we know how they like to throw somebody as the host and all that for these
yeah,
shows. There
yeah.
could be that. The other thing I could think of, I mean, maybe throw her as a special guest referee for the Chamber, because
Hmm,
maybe that could end up leading to
yeah,
something at Mania.
maybe,
I
yeah.
mean, looking at the people in there now, well, we got Bailey, we got Liv, Bianca's in there. I don't remember if we got anybody else in the chamber right now, but like it could lead to something for Mania perhaps,
Yeah.
or it could just be her just being special guest referee in the chamber itself. Because
Hmm,
yeah, I
hmm.
mean we already know Tiffany's gonna be going for Charlotte. Or excuse me, the other way around, Charlotte going for Tiffany. So like
Yeah.
there won't be really an interaction there.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm just trying to think of anywhere else she could be, because again,
There's
we're not doing anything with the mid card titles or the tag titles. So
yeah. I mean, there's one thing I can't see, and they did tease it last year. And the last time we did see Trish in the ring was with Becky in that steel cage match, and it was actually a well
mhm,
received match. I was actually surprised
yeah,
how well received that match was. Not from Becky. Becky's great, but just to see where Trish was in that match, like she really felt in place of that match. Whatever was going
mhm,
on between her and Becky, like it just matched up really well. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest since they did tease it a little bit last year during the Money in the Bank. Once Stratton
yeah,
won the briefcase, I wouldn't be surprised if we just do a match between the both of them. Obviously, nothing's going to be on the line, but it would just be one of those things where it's like Trish gets a feel good moment at home. Obviously, she's not going to win the match, and it would just be another big name under Tiffany's belt, if you want to put it that way, when it comes to the sort of accolades that she has, where it's like, oh yeah, I defeated a Hall of Famer, Trish Stratus, just like Cora Jade, which I'll talk about a little bit later, recently defeated Bayley, which is a future Hall of Famer, one of the 4 horsewomen. It's a pretty big name under her belt for somebody that she pinned, the biggest win in her career. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that. Does it need to happen? No. But if they would want to give her something like that, I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Yeah, and plus, like, it will be a good way to a good thing to kind of add to the story with her and Charlotte.
Oh yeah, that's
Because
true.
like right now, Charlotte's kind of like, oh, you kind of need to prove that you want that I should challenge you.
Yeah.
So it's like, after Tiffany's done with Nia tomorrow night, who's to say that Trish can't come out and be like, hey, I challenge you to Elimination Chamber? We could get that match in there, and it could be Charlotte being like, yeah, go ahead, see if you can beat Hall of Famer Trish Stratus, because it'll be a win-win for Charlotte, because it's like, okay, you beat Trish, then yeah, you've proven that you can face me, because I've beaten Trish too, and she's no slouch or anything. But on the other hand, Trish, if you win, hey, I don't mind running it back with you, because then you're somebody that's at least on my level. Like, you could tie it into the story there. So yeah, that wouldn't be a bad shout either.
Yeah, because now you think about it, does definitely add to the story with that, which hopefully another thing WWE is looking at online when it comes to potential people who should go over in certain matches at WrestleMania. You want to build stars, just putting it out there, WWE.
Yeah.
Pay attention to online. Yep. But now I'm going to throw the keys to Watkins. He's going to run this train, or I guess I'll put the coal in so the train can start running, because now we're at our turnbuckle tidbits, which pretty much this is a part of the show where we talk about NXT and AEW Dynamite, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the mediocre at best. So talk about Dynamite. What are the pros and cons?
All right. So, you know what? Dynamite was actually pretty good this week, I thought. A few good matches. There were a lot of squash matches, though, which was pretty much the biggest con of everything. But yeah, I mean, I'll just go through the pros really quick here, too. So we have the Trios Championship match between Death Riders and Undisputed Kingdom. Death Riders retained, but I mean, the match itself was really good. And, there was a post-match beatdown, and out comes freaking, I forgot who the other two were with him, but Daniel Garcia comes out, tried to run off the Death Rider, so I guess that's their next opponent. So, forget you, Undisputed Kingdom, you're done now, which is a problem with AEW. It's just like, okay, as soon as one champion's done defending their title, it's on to the next thing. They don't really give time to just kind of reflect on that loss. Yeah. Now, I did see that they had uploaded some sort of video for Undisputed Kingdom, and I think I forgot who the other person was on that video, but I didn't get a chance to watch that before this. So kind of sucks for them because they didn't win, but the match itself was good. And plus, hey, AEW remembers they have trios champions. That's always great to remember. We're continuing the Swerve and Ricochet storyline, so that's good, because again, they had a good match, and Ricochet can only get better with his promo work, which, he had something here which was good. Again, it's better, so we can only go up from where we're at. And of course, Swerve having another big match with Ricochet could be really good, because again, with the ending to their match, it did leave way for a rematch down the line. So we'll probably see that at Revolution, which is another thing about this Dynamite. They didn't do, because technically this is, I guess, a go home for Grand Slam, but they didn't put too much focus on Grand Slam. They're starting to kind of build for Revolution in March, which, I mean, Grand Slam is what it is now. Take that for however you're going to take it on Saturday, which they're finally starting to say, hey, it's going to be on Max too after the NBA stuff. So good, great. I can watch it finally. Thank you for that. But so those things were fine. This next segment though was really good, and it's kind of a segment. What's up?
It's a good pivot.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my god, beautiful pivot. So this next segment kind of takes place with like a couple different spots. So earlier in the night, I think this actually kind of started the night too. Max Caster comes out with his little open challenge thing, answered by Hangman Adam Page, because that was set up from last week with Max kind of running away from him, calling him out, whatever. And yeah, this was a glorified squash match, and Adam Page made easy work of Max Caster. But later on, he goes out into the back where MJF's cutting a promo on Dustin Rhodes, and MJF's kind of doing his usual heel shtick that he's doing right now. It's kind of just him picking at low hanging fruit. But Hangman Adam Page comes by, he's just like, "Hey, it's my time now for promo. Get out, and like MJF pulls, again, the low-hanging fruit. "Oh, you smell like Jack Daniels. Is that a new cologne? Didn't know they made that." And Hangman calls him out. He's just like, "Look, why don't you get some new material, kid? You've been here for 5 years. Do something new." And it's almost like something clicked in MJF, where he just like switches. He's just like, "All right, fine. You want me to be serious? All right, bet. You can't hang with what you're trying to do. You say you're Hangman, you say you're this cowboy, but like deep down, you can't stomach what you've become, and like you just can't continue doing what you're trying to do because you just can't do it. Like, this is stuff that I'm used to doing, and I love doing this. I call myself the devil, and yeah, rightfully so, because I will do messed up things to people in the ring, like we've seen in like his dog collar matches with CM Punk, and just like even his match tonight that he had with Dustin Rhodes, which again was a really good match of this veteran trying to prove that he could still go and all that, and MJF is trying to prove that, okay, I am who I say I am, and I'm going to embarrass you in your pseudo hometown right now, which he kind of does by forcing, mind you, Dustin to pass out to the crossface, which, yeah, all right, good on you, MJF. But after the match, though, Hangman Adam Page comes back out and he gets in MJF's face, and they has a glorious fight that goes like from the ring to outside the ring to even in the crowd, with security really trying to force these two off of each other. But they end up getting Page out of there, and MJF gets on the mic, calls him out again, being like, "Oh, you're a coward. This is the best you could do, you yellow livered little pansy." Hangman Adam Page comes back out to finish the job and all that. And yeah, I mean, man, this was just really good. Like, this is the kind of stuff that like people loved AEW for, like feuds like this, like moments like this, where it's like not only just like this pull apart brawl, but like both men kind of have something to prove to the world itself. Because like MJF still has to prove, he's not somebody that's gonna keep running away from the fight. He's gonna keep calling people out on their BS and like kind of prove himself right too, which in a way, yes and no, he is with Page. But I mean, Hangman too, he's trying to prove that he's on this route, that he is sticking to his guns, so to say, with going forward with the road that he's chosen. And I mean, this could lead, again, this is obviously leading to a match at Revolution, but I'm wondering if this is going to lead to like I don't know if it's going to be like last man standing match or anything, but maybe another Texas death match or something. Like, it's going to be some sort of brutal match, I think, to really kind of boost MJF back up, which he needs a big boost after coming back. But yeah, Hangman Adam Page too, just with his story of like either, second guessing himself with the path that he's walked, but yeah, really kind of diving in too with like both of their characters. But like, I don't, were you able to cut? This is where I want to kind of ask you, because like the first two title, like the trios title, Ricochet, Swerve, that's whatever. Were you able to catch any of this like online or
Yes.
anything?
Yeah, I was able to catch it.
Yeah. Like what did you think of any of this?
I mean, I'm just glad MJF is in like a feud again, especially with Adam Page, because they haven't had any sort of interaction like this, honestly, ever since 2019, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
They haven't had like any interactions where it's just them creating a program of one another. And this is the kind of things, like you said, that people miss from AEW when we got segments like this, when we felt like the raw emotion between both parties within that segment to build up to this feud. And I really like that. I got that classic MJF. You got Hangman Adam Page returning to his former glory, because ever since that Swerve match, I mean, really, what happened? You would expect things to be elevated because that was a pretty big win under his belt, but nothing really headed anywhere. So I'm glad this is a program for the both of them to boost themselves up, because it's definitely needed. It gives them out of the Jeff Jarrett picture, which was even purported like he wasn't even supposed to win the title. So why was it even a storyline to begin with? Like, what was the whole thing there? So I'm glad these guys are getting into this. The whole Ricochet and Swerve thing, I'm glad that at least Ricochet is being utilized with something, especially when you have somebody that did benefit, which we'll dive into a little bit later when it comes to releases. When he came from WWE and he inserted himself in AEW, and they created a star out of this. So what's nice that Ricochet is actually bouncing off of Swerve to help build him up, taking what people say about him online, and just things as a whole, and really using it to really build this hero persona that he's doing very well with. I do believe, because I know a lot of people were saying that Samantha Irvin could possibly be some sort of manager for him, so she'll probably get what she always wanted to do backstage if Tony potentially brings her in, unless she just wants to focus on her singing career, which is what she originally wanted to do to begin with. But it wouldn't be a bad idea for him. And the whole thing with the Trios Championship, happy that they're being focused on, because it's almost like, again, one of those titles that are just on the show, don't really know where they are. They show up when they do. So, I mean, at least it's shown off, but still need to throw that out there a little bit more. And, Megan Bailey.
Yeah, I mean, again, TK remembered he had Trios titles.
Yep.
Great. Fantastic. But, yeah, and hopefully with, like, MJF and Adam Page, just kind of helps, again, boost their stock again, and just kind of remind us that they are both main event players, whether it's on the mic or in the ring. Cause, both of them are just really good. Just, you got to give them some good material, which, finally, you are. And then this next part, I mean, again, a lot of these are just kind of quick segments and all that, like nothing really too deep or anything. So like Megan Bayne and Chris Statlander, they both technically had matches. Megan Bayne's was a squash, and Chris Statlander's against Penelope Ford. It was a bit more of a back and forth, but not really much to go off of there, because Chris Statlander easily beat her. Yeah. But it looks like we're moving towards a program between the two, because not only did they have a stare down between the matches, but Megan Bayne came out after Chris Statlander's match and beat her up. Yeah, so it looks like we're going to be leading
F5 on her.
Yeah. So hey, at least we're building somebody new. Hopefully we keep that forward momentum going. Please. Whether or not this is just going to be a Dynamite match, or dare I say a freaking Collision match. I don't know, but at least it's something for them maybe to work off and play off each other and all that. Now this next one, this is another one that I kind of want to dive with.
Oh yeah,
so
go right ahead.
Going into Grand Slam, we have Mercedes Moné taking on Harley Cameron for the TBS title. Now, Harley Cameron, like, again, I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things when it comes to AEW, but to my knowledge, Harley Cameron's fairly new on the scene. I mean, or at least fairly new in the point where, okay, she's actually getting matches and all that, or at least getting matches where she can finally start moving forward. So, like, she's won one match. Cool, neat, awesome. And she's got this match going in with Mercedes money. And the whole story here has been, Mercedes not wanting to give her the shot because, oh, you're this big loser, you're trying to do all this stuff with like your singing and your guitar stuff, and now you got this puppet of me. Like, what are you doing here? Like, to quote freaking Mercedes money, which I hate to do at this point, are you stupid or are you dumb? Like, that kind of thing. So already, like, I kind of looked at Harley Cameron like, okay, I see that you're trying and I can appreciate that, but it's really not hitting for me, just like some of your shticks and all that. Then we get this promo where it starts off with, like, I guess one of her rapping videos or, music videos or whatever. And first of all, holy shit, her lyrics. Goddamn, the woman can freaking throw some bars, man. Like, she's a lyrical genius on that front. Oh my God, yes. And she stops the song and she starts cutting this promo, this very heartfelt promo, how saying, okay, you know what, Mercedes, you can continue saying that I'm a loser and all that stuff, but like, we all started somewhere. Like, we all had our first match, I remember when I started having to learn to sing, when I wanted to learn guitar, when I wanted to learn Chinese. And then she spits a line in Chinese, which is like, oh, okay, great. And she's like, I just got good at what I tried to do. And I'm, they're going to be in Australia, in her home country and all that stuff. And she vows to win the TBS title. Now, I don't think she's going to win the TBS title. I just don't think so. I think it's a little too early for her to win a title, even a mid-card title like that. However, you have the building blocks now to create a star here. Like, because the crowd is behind her. And like, just from last night, she made a fan out of me after last night, after this video promo, because like, I could tell that like she's genuine in her words, and she's genuine in the fact of what she wants to do and how she wants to be and all that. And like, that's how you create a star. That's how you create somebody to get the fans behind you. And yeah, I mean, again, I don't think she's gonna win Saturday, but her showing Saturday can really elevate her. And that's really the point of elevating a division, is like, and I think we had mentioned this on Monday, or it was at some point, but like, when you lose, you can look good losing. You can still be elevated by losing. And I think Harley Cameron, they have something with Harley Cameron where they can make that into a thing. And as long as they capitalize on it, and as long as they keep the push and forward momentum going after Grand Slam, and like, I don't see her winning the title Saturday, but come around All In time, then have her face off for the TBS title again, and have her win it there, because like, that could be the story of her just like rising to that occasion, being on that big stage, and like have their crowning moment. Because like, All In seems to be like one of their biggest shows, like almost like a WrestleMania-esque, where they could have these big moments, these big shining star moments for their wrestlers and all that. And I think that could be Harley Cameron's time, but time will tell with that. But like, what do you think of this? Because it seems like, you got to see the clip going around and all that, but what are your thoughts on just Harley Cameron going forward?
So when I saw this, I saw the exact same image that you did. This is the building blocks to create a new star. She's been doing great work behind the scenes, if it's in matches, if it's in-ring segments, doing her concert, just character work alone. It shows that she's very passionate with what she's doing. And I feel like when you have moments like that, especially if it's someone that organically gets over that's not even in the cards, you should capitalize on it. Like Jey Uso, for example, he's going to get his moment at WrestleMania. He's going to become a world champion. WWE is making a smart decision to capitalize while the iron's hot, because like I mentioned before when we talked about this, WWE, they always miss the mark with these sort of things. And I like how AEW has something in their possession where they could easily make a star out of Harley. and I don't see it happening at this show, but you could easily do something like this at Revolution. If you want to prolong it a little bit longer, you could give her like a big moment at All In, because there's a part of me that feels like they kind of want to break Jade's record with Mercedes, and I feel like it's like 504 days or whatever. So I feel like they might want to wait until she beats that record, and then they'll probably take the title off of her. But I wouldn't be opposed to Harley breaking it at all, because, I mean, look at that. One of the 4 horsewomen, a lot of people consider her to be like, well, I mean, regardless how people feel about her, she really did push the narrative for women's wrestling. So getting a win over your belt over somebody like her would definitely really do wonders for her. And this is the kind of thing I like seeing. I just like seeing people get feel-good moment. I like seeing people just organically get over and becoming a bigger star, because it's always the unexpected that hits harder when you least expect it to happen.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed this. The whole promo that she had after the music video, which again shows off all of her talents, it was very genuine. It felt like she was speaking from the heart, which is something that I really appreciated, and I would definitely capitalize on that. I know a lot of people are saying this weekend. I don't think it's going to happen, but definitely when it comes to like a Revolution, because it's definitely possible they could do it at Revolution, because I believe Revolution is when Mercedes won the belt, and it's almost been a year since she's been undefeated too, so you could easily do it there. But I would definitely try to capitalize on it. Like, I wouldn't want to miss the mark. Like, I get it, you know, she's like a meme and everything like that, but you could always evolve that into something even more beyond that. And just hearing that pop, if it's in WWE, TNA, AEW, whatever promotion, just hearing that pop from the crowd whenever that person wins the big one for their hard work, I mean, that's something I could always get behind, and I really hope it happens for her soon, because she's probably one of my favorite parts of the show, if I'm being perfectly honest, when I tune into Wednesdays to watch AEW. Whenever I see her, I mean, it's must-see television for me, so hopefully she gets her moment.
Yeah, because, like, and I mean, I've kind of gone on record a couple times being like, oh, this is kind of cringy, but, like, I don't know. There was something about this promo that kind of made my brain click a little bit, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I get it. I think I get it. And you've made a fan out of me, Harley Cameron. Just don't fuck it up, AEW. And also, start selling some of those Mercedes money puppets, because I will buy one. Like, I will throw money at that. Just make sure it's affordable.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they could easily make money. They could easily like make money off of that. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. I wouldn't even be surprised they're doing the show. You'll see it in the background of all your other characters too. Yeah,
exactly. Like, literally, it would be right back that, like, maybe I put it on the shelf right there next to like the trumpet or whatever. And then so moving right along, another quick moment here. The Hurt Syndicate put their tag titles on the line against the Gun Club. We're just feeding tag teams very early on for the Hurt Syndicate. I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of wish we kind of held off on their first title defense, or at least had a maybe a squash match before somebody as big as the Guns and all that came in and everything. Because I think they just came back too from like I think it was like an injury or something. Because I don't think they were just written off just to be written off for a bit. I think one of them was injured, but yeah, I mean, a quick, easy title defense for them. After the match, you had Brian Cage and Lance Archer come out, just like clapping their hands. So hey, we'll get a big meaty men bump and meat match with those 4 involved. So that'll be cool. But I mean, I didn't really have much to go on with that. Just again, a good match like that. That's just the thing with AEW. You get ton of good matches, so really shouldn't have to say that. But again, it was a good match. Just I wish they held off a little bit longer, having a team that's as established as the Gun Club challenge them and all that. But the last pro I had was Cope, or Adam Copeland, as people still like to call him. Like, like Jon Moxley on the mic. But Cope finally gets his world title match for Revolution, so that's kind of cool. Now, the setup for this, and I've seen a bunch of back and forth with this on, is Jon Moxley being a hypocrite, blah blah blah, like back and forth with all that stuff. Because like, what ends up happening is Cope and Jay Wyatt, they ended up taking the briefcase that has the AEW world title in it. And by the end of the night, they come to the ring and they're like, okay, we're going to smash this thing in with, Spike. Yeah, that's the name of what's the call is, big old board with spikes on it. And Jon Moxley comes out and he's just like, look, no, you're not going to do that because you guys don't deserve that thing. And he starts cutting this promo about how like he's left parts of his soul on that AEW title, which rightfully so. You're the only 3-time holder of that belt, and yeah, the other 2 times you really held the company up during the times that they needed it. Especially the second time when Punk left and all that. But like this third reign has been really hit and miss with the story that they're telling. But like I think I kind of get it here with him trying to prove, okay, I care about this title. Because like, and it's really weird because it's like it's kind of back and forth with like what he's been saying on the mic and what he's been trying to, I guess, portray with it. Because I guess with him is like he's trying to protect the title from, I guess, these old heads coming in, or like these people that don't really, don't really reflect the heart and soul of what AEW started as or what they're trying to be like. And so I guess that's what John's trying to protect or like trying to build up. It's like, okay, I would rather these people like, let's say Darby Allin, for example. I would rather somebody like Darby Allin try to challenge me and try to take this title because, hey, he's a young guy. He's been here since day one. And he's somebody that the company can really build upon. Whereas you, Adam Copeland, you're everything that's wrong with this business. We're not like you're, even though technically Jon Moxley came from WWE and all that, but like Adam Copeland, you're one of those old heads that's like trying to retire in this company. You're trying to like take away from what we're trying to build here. People like you, Bobby Lashley, Chris Jericho, and just to name a few and all that. Like you guys need to stay away from this title. Like you guys don't even deserve to see this title. So like I can see the story the story coming from that angle. It's just sometimes the execution has not been the greatest when it comes to like some of the mic work. Oh, yeah. But I could see that vision at least from last night, from Jon Moxley being like, okay, you want me to prove to you how much I give a shit about that title? Okay, fine. You've got your world title match, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm gonna break your neck. And like you hear a line from like a pro wrestler, it's just like, oh yeah, there a lot of pro wrestlers say, oh, I'm gonna tear your eye out, I'm gonna break your ankle and all that. But like it's something with the way that Jon Moxley said it that really makes you believe it. Now obviously he's not gonna go out there and try to break the dude's neck for real. But it's like it's just the way he said it, and like you could feel that Jon Moxley will break Adam Copeland's neck to keep that title. I almost called him Edge for a second, and I struggle even calling him Cope. Yeah, like I hate I hate Cope. I hate that. But what do you think about like this direction? I guess with Jon Moxley and the AEW World Title, because like they also tried to build up for the Grand Slam title match, not title match, the Grand Slam tag match with Jay White and Claudio and all that, but like that just kind of feels like an afterthought, much like Grand Slam does feel like anyways with a lot of people. But what do you think of like this part of going with like the Death Riders and Jon Moxley and Cope and all that? Like how do you feel about all that?
If I'm being honest, I'm just waiting for the end result, really, because to me it's just the whole Death Rider story is like it's just overplayed at this point. I'm glad that they're not as featured as much on the show, so I guess that's like a little plus. It's been a thing that's been ongoing ever since last week. They're not really the central focus most of the show like they were prior. That really hurt the overall, like, checking it out, seeing what's going on. So, I mean, the way I look at this is you have Grand Slam, you got that tag match. What was it? It's Wheeler Yuta. Is it Wheeler Yuta? Or no, it's John and
for Grand Slam? Yeah, it's John and Claudio.
Yeah, John and Claudio taking on Edge. Yeah. There we go. Taking on Cole.
Yeah, right? It's so hard.
Taking on Cope and I'm drawing a blank right now.
Oh, Jay White.
Yeah, taking on Cope and Jay White. I do see them getting the momentum this weekend. I would assume Claudio would probably be the one pinned, unless they want to pin Moxley, I guess, to get a little more momentum. But I would probably prefer Claudio, but I do expect them to go over, and then we get that match at Revolution. But I'm just really wondering, okay, like, what's next after that? I would assume Jay White is, potentially, but I don't really know.
Because he hasn't mentioned anything about the world title during this whole thing.
Yeah, so I'm just really wondering what's going on with this. Hoping we see it again. I'm not sure why it's like this top secret thing, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why.
Unless they're doing like a redesign, but,
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and then really quickly, like the cons I had, besides some of the things I mentioned earlier, apparently, and I guess I totally missed this, there was another trios match with Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata squashing some people I've never heard of. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, I think they were all just jobbers. Yeah. But we get a name for their group. They're gonna be known as the Ops. Which, okay, cool. And they basically exactly. That was my reaction. I was like, what? The Ops? Okay, fine, whatever. But they basically, they beat some jobbers and they call out the patriarchy. Cool, I guess. I mean, I keep forgetting Christian even has like that little contract briefcase thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to play into all this Jon Moxley stuff, but okay. Cool, neat. And then Jericho confronted Bandito trying to claim this bounty that was on Bandito. And this whole big brawl ensues with like the learning tree, the outrunners. Hobbs comes out to beat up on Big Bill and all that. Like, again, Jericho just does nothing for me anymore. I want this whole learning tree thing to kind of end, but those were basically my cons with Dynamite, and I mean that was basically Dynamite. So again, I thought it was a better show than last week too, which was also a decent show. But yeah, as long as they keep this forward momentum going, I think AEW will be back in a good place. And I mean, I saw the ratings earlier where NXT had like about they were over 800,000, and Dynamite was like at 579, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so like the ratings are down. Yes, obviously, that's just been an ongoing trend with Dynamite. But I think shows like last night are at least a step in the right direction to be like, okay, let's kind of. I know a lot of people have been saying, oh, the feeling's been restored in AEW. It's like, okay, I can see that, I can feel that, but yeah, this is at least a step in the right direction in a lot of places.
That's what I'll say. Like, I don't think the feeling's restored yet, but at least there's steps to get there. Because for all we know, this could just be like a 2-week streak, and then everything all of a sudden goes back the way it is. I mean, you even have that with like Raw and SmackDown. Sometimes you got a good couple weeks with shows, and then you got stinkers. It's just how it is.
I mean, if you want to hear about Monday Night Raw, we kind of went off on it on Monday because that was a show. So that's the thing. We're gonna be honest about everything. We're gonna be back and forth with everything. We're gonna tell you that it's good. We're gonna tell you that it's bad. We're gonna tell you if it's just mid at best. But yeah, I think this is a good step. But I'm gonna transition over to you now because we had NXT going on. So what happened in NXT land this week?
So NXT was well, we'll get to that main talking point because I'll just explain my overall experience once we get there. But
Yeah.
we did have a match with Bayley versus Cora Jade to start off the show. And Bayley's been busting off her ass for these past couple weeks. She's been going from Raw to SmackDown to NXT. Now that she's on Raw now she's just going from Raw to NXT. And she had a match with Lyra on Monday, and now she had a match with Cora on Tuesday. And Cora ended up winning the match, like I said earlier. This was a pretty big win for Cora Jade, considering that she has a future Hall of Famers under her belt when it comes to people that she pinned, where she can brag about it as long as she really wants to throughout the rest of her career. But the interesting part about this match is what transpired within the match, because we actually had like a little bit more build up with the match between Bayley, Julia, and Roxanne, where Roxanne actually came out to Bayley's old theme song to distract her. He was dressed up in like the hugger gear and everything, just to really catch her off guard. And it was pretty much like Bayley was looking at an image of her former self and everything. And you could really tell that Bayley, compared to the Bayley we have now, she really outgrew that gimmick. It really wouldn't make sense for her to really have it anymore. But just seeing a sort of moment between her and Roxanne within the match itself, I mean, it was a pretty cool moment, especially just hearing that song again, which again, they have the rights to use the songs whenever they want. So it's almost like they can go back to it whenever they want. It was a CFO $. I forgot how they say their the name of them. But
yeah,
just cool to hear that in general. But then we saw Cora win the match, and just a little bit more build up with that. I would assume, I mean, I have a feeling that this is probably a Bayley and Roxanne match at WrestleMania. That's how it's feeling to me, because there is a lot of inner turmoil between Cora Jade and Roxanne, which I feel like might be Roxanne's swan song in NXT when it comes to probably her putting over Cora Jade and then building up Cora Jade when she's not there, because Cora is really the only one that they gotta really keep building to really get her to where she needs to be, because Roxanne's fine. So if she goes in the main roster, she's fine, but Cora Jade hasn't had like the best compared to Roxanne when it comes to like where the spotlight is being held. So I feel like what they're doing with Cora Jade right now is really setting her up for a lot of things. And we had a segment between Obafemi and A-Town Down Under, which is who Obafemi is going up against this weekend at NXT Vengeance Day. And I'll drop my quick predictions once we reach like the end of this, just to give you guys a heads up.
Oh yeah.
And within this segment itself, I actually wanted to bring up the script for this, because there was actually some very interesting things that was said. So obviously, Obafemi versus Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Obviously, this should be a good match because Obafemi, very talented. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, also very talented as well. And I kind of like how they're in NXT now. They're actually being utilized. So they have some way to, showcase themselves. They're not being used on Raw. They're actually being used somewhere else, which is one of the many reasons why NXT, as much as people like to say, oh, it's a demotion or anything. No, it's not. It gives you a place to really rebuild yourself so you could come back to an even better character. And I just find it funny when you have A-Town Down Under NXT, the first thing Sean does, he goes back to teasing that split between the both of them. And I'm feeling pretty confident we might actually get it this weekend, because we had some things. We had Grayson Waller say this pretty much, where outside of what they talked about, how he wanted the title because Carmelo Hayes had it, Trick Williams had it, Braun Breaker had it, etc., so on. But we had something that pretty much, like, because Oba's great, so whenever I hear him speak, I always listen, but I liked how they were talking right here, where Grayson Waller says, I just want you to know that the NXT Championship means a lot to me. Do you know how sick I get of hearing Carmelo Hayes' name, hearing Breaker's name, hearing Trick Williams' name, just because they had that, despite the fact that I gave everything to have a chance and I was this close. So I want to let you know that I will do whatever it takes, and that includes. And then Theories includes what, man? Includes what? I never had an NXT championship. I've been the United States championship. I've been the United States champion. Then Grayson Waller ends up saying this. He's like, you beaten John Cena. We get it, dude. I'm sick of hearing that story. Guess what? No one cares. Theory ends up saying, let me tell you something, Grayson, that accomplishment is a very rare accomplishment. But I guess someone like you not understanding because you never had a singles title on your own. And Grayson's like, hey, he's not wrong. But you know what else I remember? I remember at WrestleMania 40 when I was standing on the top of the ladder holding the WWE Tag Team Championships, and you were at the bottom, rung like a little cheerleader. If anything, you should be saying thank you, Grayson. You saved my career after WrestleMania 39. Pretty much just alluding to like once great, because we were thinking originally when he won that match against Cena, he was going to propel, because that's normally what you would expect with something like that. But no, it just felt flat. Nothing happened, and that's what Grayson was referencing. He never really benefited out of that. And then Theory was like, saved. You think I need to be saved? I'm just getting started. When it comes to this triple threat match on Saturday, I would do whatever it takes to become NXT champion. So pretty much just teasing the split again, and I feel like you're gonna finally get it. And I honestly feel like this is probably the best thing they could really do with Austin Theory, giving him a new character, have him turn baby face, because I mean, as much as he's been like going downhill a little bit when it comes to like the overall booking, I feel like the best thing you really want to do, especially if you want to create new stars, the best thing you could really do is to have him turn babyface, possibly at the end of this match. And actually, I'm going to say, have him turn babyface at the end of this match, because I don't see either of them retaining. And then you could have Austin Theory turn babyface, help rebuild his character, and then take off from there. That's what I would personally do. I feel like it would benefit him in the long run. And then you could probably do a little program of him and Grayson Waller, and then move him up from there. That would honestly be the best thing. So I really like that. Mm-hmm. And then we also had a tag match with Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura versus Hank Waller and Tank Ledger versus Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights. And this was a triple threat match to determine like the number one contenders for the tag team titles. And we ended up having Josh Briggs and Yusuke Inamura win this match. And this match is also going to be set at NXT Vengeance Day. And this should be a very good match, especially since they're going up against Fraxium. I mean, they're considered the best tag team within WWE right now, considering the amount of work that they're putting through. This was a very good match, probably my favorite match out of the night. Then we had Lexis King versus JDC, also known as Fandango for people that remember him in WWE, for the NXT Heritage Cup. Lexis King wins, but it's also nice to see that partnership between TNA and WWE showcased. We had a match between Zarya and Soruka. Well, Zarya with Soruka, because obviously they're a team right now, and she was up against Nikita Lyons, which is something that was teased backstage. Nikita Lyons was like trying to talk a lot of shit and everything, so then a match was scheduled between her and Nikita Lyons. Zarya ends up winning this match, and I'm going to make a prediction that I could potentially see Zarya turning heel down the line. I feel like that's something they might possibly do with her and Soruka. They might turn Zarya heel, because I feel like compared to Julia and Stephanie, she's not really doing as much, because those are like the two out of the three that's really benefiting the most when it comes to like the overall love that they're getting. Not saying that nobody cares about Zarya, but I definitely sense a heel turn. I mean, she always looked like a heel to me, just based off of how she looks. I could really see her digging deep into that, and it would be nice just to get like another program outside of a championship title involved between Zarya and Soruka, which are both really great talents. And then we had Trick Williams talking a lot of shit to Eddie Thorpe. We had a little Eddie Thorpe interview earlier, pretty much building to their strap match that they're going to be having over the weekend at NXT Vengeance Day, which I expect Trick to go over. I'm honestly like questioning why. I'm not saying like I don't dislike Eddie Thorpe or anything, but I'm questioning why we have him in the position that he's in right now. Which leads me to the next thing that's definitely going to help boost the NXT men's division. And I'm just going to basically say, like, I'm going to actually pull up the Vengeance Day cards. I can give some quick predictions too. But just cool. Honestly, like, when I saw this, my initial reaction was, I was on my phone, which I normally do when there's like commercials. And then we were coming back. He was talking about stuff that's going to be happening at NXT Vengeance Day. And I hear a voice. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Is it somebody backstage? Is it like the next match of the card? Like, I honestly thought it was the closing match, like Tony D'Angelo and when he was with the family and when they were setting up the match between him and Ridge Holland. Sometimes Tony likes cutting a promo before he starts his matches. But it was actually something completely different where we see Ricky Starks come from the crowd and he's cutting a promo. And I actually want to reference what he says right here. I'm hoping it's on. I'm hoping it's on here. Oh yeah, it is right here. Okay, so just to elaborate a little bit more, I was like freaking out. I was clapping my hands. I turned up the volume. I was just in a feel good moment, just like Watkins. If you guys saw that clip of Watkins like mouth opening wide, like when they're about to record the Anime Lately podcast, like that was pretty much like how I was too when I saw this. It was just completely off guard because it's like he just got released the following day, no 90 days or anything like that. And then all of a sudden, not even 24 hours later, here he is in NXT. And he comes out and he says this, like, oh, this feels right. This feels really good. Right now, it's obvious you know who I am because everybody was chanting out Ricky Starks. And he's like, if NXT is to feature professional wrestling, well, guess what? You need an absolute superstar of the future. And if this is the hottest brand, well, you need the hottest free agent. Don't let this handsome face and the expensive fragrance fool you. I'm here to turn this place upside down, and everybody has been begging to ask the question, when will the revolution be televised again? And well, I'm here, ain't I? And I just love that. I've been watching a lot of live reaction to it. I've been watching that clips. It almost has like 10 million hits on when it comes to impressions alone on WWE.
Yeah.
He got the co-sign from Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Jade was all excited. I'm expecting to see something with Cody sooner or later too, because I know him and Cody are pretty tight. But this put a big smile on my face. And then we got a report there where it says from Fightful, just to clear the room, because a lot of people are nervous. Oh, is he going to be called Oris Griffin? You know, making all those memes. Is he going to be called something different? But from Fightful, it says Ricky Starks is being referred to and listed as Ricky Starks internally within NXT and WWE. A source in WWE confirmed that the company often works on sync agreements that allow them to utilize names and other trademarks while a performer is with a company. It is believed that Stark's deal came together so quickly that WWE were working on the side with caution. Makes sense because, like I said, he appeared out of nowhere, but also great to get a confirmation. But at the same time, I expected him to have his name. But I want to hear more on you with this because I know this is definitely something to talk about with you here.
Oh my god, dude. I'm excited that he's finally going to have a stage where he can just show off a little bit more. Like again, he said in his promo, he's just like, I'm here to just elevate myself. I am here in the hottest promotion right now, which again, I mean, take ratings as always with a grain of salt because many factors and all that stuff, but like you just look at the ratings from NXT, how they keep going up and up and up. Like it'll go down, it'll have a dip here and there. Like I think what was it was either last week or the week before, they had over 900,000 people watching. Then you go to this week and it's like 800,000. But I mean, I remember just 5-6 years ago, you flip those numbers between that and Dynamite currently. That's what NXT was, and like that was during the time where we were saying that it was hot. Like even NXT at its hottest, I don't think we're pulling that numbers even on the streaming sites and all that.
No,
but man, it's just crazy to think that he's in a spot where he needs to be. And NXT not only can benefit from Ricky Starks, but Ricky Starks can benefit from NXT. Because right now that men's division in NXT is kind of bare bones at best. With a few standouts here and there. And again, people can grow and become bigger stars and all that, but like you gotta have some people for Obafemi to actually face, for one, in that main event picture. But I mean, even with Tony D'Angelo with his North American title, I mean, there's not many people he can face beyond Ridge Holland right now. So yeah, you kind of gotta build some people up and like utilize your talent well. And yeah, you gotta start making your main event scene feel important. And yeah, Ricky Starks can really add to that. And I think he'll be one of those talents that we see that really benefit from the program. I mean, we saw what happened with Ethan Page. I mean, he got a co-sign from The Rock, and I don't know if you heard this either, but Undertaker even name dropped Ricky Starks, saying how he was in a gym that he was working in, and how he asked Ricky to kind of help him and Michelle McCool out to get ready for a comeback.
Yep.
So yeah, the dude has the connections. He has the charisma. He has the in-ring ability. It's just that age-old thing. You got to capitalize on it. And at least with NXT, I feel like they will.
Yeah, I definitely see him benefiting in the long run. I definitely see him using what he had and just growing even more, because he's a great promo. He knows how to hold himself against anybody that he's in the ring with. I mean, one of the best mic workers in AEW is MJF.
Oh yeah.
He was even able to hold his own against MJF. And some people even believe in that segment that he probably stood out a little bit more just based on the sort of like charisma, just basically showing like, what he's fully capable of. And he's even mentioned before, I remember on the Chris Van Vliet show, that he doesn't want to stay home. He wants to work. And you could see how passionate it is. You could see like how much he believes in himself. And that's a really nice trait to have when it comes to being a wrestler. And I can definitely see him becoming an even bigger star once he's in NXT, and I could see him doing very well on the main roster too. I could see him in programs of like an LA Knight. Imagine the promo battle between the both of them.
Oh my god!
I could see him with like a Drew McIntyre. I mean, you can call me crazy if you want, but I could potentially see him being like a main eventer on the main roster. Depending on how they utilize him, because I'm not gonna look at him and scream mid card. I mean, there's one of those guys that you normally see where you're like, that person has it. And especially when it comes to like promos and stuff like that. Like you said, he's also a good in-ring worker too, but just the fact that he's able to just really push himself no matter who he's in the ring with, it's just really great to see. And a lot of fans can get behind that, because that's one of the things they look for. They even like mention it when they do their shows and everything, like they do in the LFG, good in the ring, capture the audience with that. You got the charisma, you got the promo work. Ricky checks off all those boxes. I can see him becoming something really special. And he also canceled his indie date soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's on Vengeance. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on Vengeance Day this Saturday. I mean, fuck, why wouldn't you not put him out there?
Yeah, exactly. Like, even no matter what he's doing, I mean, just have him on the show and advertise that he's going to be there. I mean, just have him there. And
yeah, that'd be nice.
Again, you'd see numbers skyrocket because they love their numbers.
And they definitely need him in the men's division, though. So you got him coming over there. He's going to be in the men's division. I know Moose, I know you mentioned in the chat, Josh Alexander's contract expires tomorrow on Friday. It is true, because he just had his last match in TNA tonight. So he could potentially be heading to WWE. That could potentially be another name added to NXT for the time being, until, of course, he moves up to the main roster. But still, that's another name you could throw in the cards, because they definitely need to build up their men's division. Ricky Starks helps out a lot. Obviously, people give a shit. Almost 10 million views alone. And WWE is going to be... I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. They show it on SmackDown tomorrow, if I'm being honest. So it's just one of those things that I could easily see them bragging about. But then the last thing we have...
That'd be crazy if he showed up on SmackDown. I just say, it would be crazy if he did.
I could, if he's not on SmackDown, at the very least, I could see them showcasing what happened on NXT, because they don't normally glance over like free agents. Like if somebody shows up in the company, they
No.
talk about it. Like I think they did it with Julia, they did it with Stephanie Valkyrie. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they actually show somebody like that, especially since it is somebody that's coming from AEW and they really want to just, you know how WWE is like
Oh yeah.
pushing
They
it
just
out there.
they love pouring the salt in the wound.
Oh yeah.
They love doing that.
And then the last thing we have before I give my quick NXT Vengeance Day predictions, we have Tony D'Angelo versus Ridge Holland in a steel cage match for the NXT North American Championship. D'Angelo ends up winning the match, and then we get a heel turn towards the end of the match with Izzy Dane, where she joins alongside Ridge Holland and his group. So that was like the big moment to really close out the show there. And yeah, that was pretty much NXT. Just giving, some quick thoughts on that and going to my predictions for Vengeance Day, because it is this Saturday. I'm off of work. I can watch it. Very happy about that. So you have Obafemi versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I expect Obafemi to retain. Austin Theory, I can definitely see him turning face in there. So you get Obafemi retaining, and you get Austin Theory turning face and splitting from Waller, which I honestly feel like it's the best thing of both of them. Like, I get the whole thing where it's like, oh, they're in a tag team, need tag teams and stuff. At the same time, it's like, I mean, you've been teasing this angle forever. You just do it, whatever. Yeah. But I could definitely see it, especially if it's with Sean, because the fact that that was the first thing Sean really pushed, I could definitely see it happening. Wallin Henley versus Stephanie Valkyrie. Stephanie Valkyrie is going to get the NXT Women's North American Championship in here. So Stephanie Valkyrie is going to get her first championship within WWE, and she's going to become the Women's North American champion, not the championship itself. I also forgot to mention
become the actual belt.
I also forgot to mention that Julia wished Stephanie good luck at Vengeance Day, and she said the exact same thing back to her. And she also said that, the next thing after this is this title. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they do this. You got Julia and Stephanie Valkyrie at NXT Stand and Deliver for both titles. They could potentially do that. We don't know. Julia versus Bayley, Roxanne, and Cora Jade in a Fatal 4-Way match for the NXT Championship. Julia is retaining. Not entirely sure who she's going to pin. I could potentially see Bayley. That would be a pretty big win under her belt. But maybe it's Roxanne or Cora Jade. Not entirely sure. But this is when I could really see things kick into motion. A Roxanne and Cora Jade feud heading into Stand and Deliver. Javon Evans versus Ethan Page. I'm not entirely sure with this one. It could go in Javon Evans' favor. It could go to Ethan Page's favor. Like I mentioned, like Moose mentioned, Josh Alexander is going to be a free agent. And he could potentially swoop in, could possibly back up Ethan Page because they were a team known as the North. So he could possibly show up in this match if things head south for Javon Evans. But I'll just say Javon Evans, but I'm not entirely, I'll just stick with Ethan Page. You got Nathan Fraser and Axiom versus Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Nimura. I see Fraxium winning. And then you got Trick Williams versus Eddie Thorpe in a strap match, and I see Trick winning this match. But those are my, quick NXT Vengeance Day predictions.
Julio, yeah, I'll probably be watching on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good card, and I don't have any other notes. You pretty much summed up a lot of thoughts I had as well with some of the stuff I saw from NXT. So yeah, cool.
So now we are on our hot topic, which is releases, which is what I put within the title of this video, because we had several WWE and AEW releases within this week, as well as over the weekend, from SmackDown to Sunday. And we wanted to save the discussion here because there's a lot to digest here when it comes to WWE and AEW side, and also questions that we have beyond that. But let's start off with our WWE releases that we got on Friday, because this was actually happening during the show, and I also remember that we even referenced we would talk about this this episode for Grappling with the Week. But we had, excuse me, I hate this cough. But we have Sonya Deville's contract. Well, Sonya Deville got released, and her contract is not going to be renewed. So, what was your initial thoughts when you saw this, like on the timeline, as SmackDown was going on when it comes to her first?
So, I kind of get this because really she was not doing much of anything. Like earlier, I had mentioned the whole elevating people and all that, and how you can elevate others through losing or through winning and all that stuff. But Sonya, I mean, I know she had just gotten back from an injury, but she really wasn't doing too much when she came back. I mean, she made PFC, which cool, fine, could have had potential, could have gone somewhere, but it didn't. And I mean, out of the three, she kind of dragged it down the most, which kind of sucks for the other two. Because again, I've said it before. So, Zoe Stark is really good in the ring. She just needs somebody to kind of help talk for her. And I mean, Shayna Baszler, I mean, she kind of speaks for herself. She's already the bruiser in a tag team or a group like that. So it's like, okay, we don't really need another bruiser to be the de facto leader and all that. Probably would have been better if Sonya Deville was just a manager for them. I think it would have gone over a little better, but I don't know. She had that one match with Io, I think it was. And even Io at the time, when she was wrestling her, they just did not have good chemistry at all. They were very clunky in the ring, and the fact that that Io was clunky in the ring,
that's what
like
a lot
that,
of people are saying. You have a bad match with Io, there's something going on.
Yeah, like you make Io look bad. You're it's like the reverse AJ Styles. Like AJ Styles can have Jinder Mahal have a decent match. Jinder freaking Mahal, everybody. But that's neither here nor there. Like, it doesn't surprise me, and it doesn't surprise me too when I saw that it wasn't like a release from the contract.
Yeah,
it was they didn't renew her contract. So even WWE was like, all right, we're not even gonna try to keep you. We're just gonna let it run out.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised about her being one of the people on the list when it comes to letting her contract expire. And I believe it also said within like 2 weeks or so from that report of her getting released that she's going to be a free agent and she's going to be eligible to do whatever she wants. So we'll obviously save that actually, is it part of the discussion of where actually
the
I guess
90 day?
Yeah, so I'll save that discussion for later when it comes to where they could possibly go next. But yeah, I'm not surprised. What I am hoping is there's some sort of creative direction for Zoe and Shayna, because I feel like this is the best thing you could really do for them at this point, is think of exactly where you want to take these girls. Because ever since that announcement that Sonya is gone from the company, there wasn't really anything with them on Monday Night Raw, so hopefully there's something in the works backstage thinking about what they could possibly do. Hopefully it's not just like, oh, we're just going to go back to doing before for the tag team. Like, this could definitely be a moment where you could really push them to be in a different light. I wouldn't even call them PFC anymore. I would just think of something else entirely because, like we mentioned before, it wasn't working. And obviously with Sonya out of the picture, because she was pretty much the main component there, keeping those three together. There's not any point to really keep it going. And then the next one we have is Paul Ellering and AOP. This one, I'm not surprised at all. What I will say is it kind of sucks because they came back at the SmackDown New Year's resolution show. And last year, towards the beginning of January, their first SmackDown to cover within 2024. And this is pretty much going to be that big push for Karrion Kross. And looking at what Karrion's doing right now, it's actually pretty good. What he's doing by himself with the whole Sami Zayn situation and everything, I actually like it. But with the Paul Ellering and AOP, they were supposed to really bounce off of Karrion Kross. But the fact that they weren't able, not much Paul Ellering, but really AOP, if you can't really bounce off of Karrion Kross, I mean, that's definitely very telling when it comes to how his overall presentation has been within WWE. Because I've always believed in Cross. I always felt like he had a lot of potential in him, and I feel like we could possibly be getting into motion with that. Because like I said, I really like what's going on with him. But it kind of sucks. They just got brought back, and they were with us within a year, and then right off the bat, I mean, they're gone.
Yeah.
But again, they weren't even seen on television for quite some time. It was just more of a Cross and Scarlet thing. They weren't even acknowledged.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. You had Paul Ellering being like a manager for them, and he was barely talking.
Yeah,
he was just kind of there. Yeah, until he got he got the mandible claw on him, and then it was just like, oh no, what'd you do to Paul Ellering? It's just like, well, most people don't really know who he is because you guys aren't really putting him on the TV to talk and all that. And I mean, because that's the thing, he's a really good talker, and especially with AOP, like him and AOP were such a good fit when they were in NXT that when they moved up to the main roster, they got rid of him, and then WWE at the time were like, oh crap, we need to keep a mouthpiece on you guys. Hey, Rockstar Spud, go on, get out there, you do it, go pee your pants. Great, awesome, fantastic. 2019 was awesome. But like I feel like there's a deeper story in there too with AOP, because it's like why was it that they were part of the company, went up to the main roster, and now they release them and then bring it back, and then after a year release them again. Like there's got to be some other story with like either attitudes or like I don't know. I feel like there's got to be something with that.
Yeah, just drops. Looking under AEW releases, you're gonna get a little chuckle.
Oh my god, I can't wait. Breaking news, everybody. Well, let's see what we got here.
Yeah, I'll get my thoughts on it once we get there. I'll let you read it first.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna read this out loud for everybody as I'm live reading this. AEW sources have informed me, and this is Chris Prolific, Dr. Chris. Oh, he's from Fightful, isn't he?
It was Sportskeeda.
Where are you from? Sportskeeda. That's right. You're the Sportskeeda dude. That's right. Okay. Sportskeeda. Blah blah blah. AEW sources have informed me that negotiations between Tony Khan and Rey Fenix to end Phoenix's tenure with the company are progressing, and a resolution is expected to happen soon. I was also informed that Tony Khan has been heavily advised to put an end to this soon regarding Phoenix's holding period. Okay, the fact that you have people supposedly, allegedly telling you, hey, go ahead, just put an end to this.
Yeah.
Like,
that's telling.
What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? Oh my god, this is like legit breaking news from like 7 minutes ago. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah, no, just let him out. Like it shouldn't be that hard. Like again, I get it, contracts are a thing. You got to fulfill your contract duties, obligations, all that stuff. But like if one side isn't doing or fulfilling their part of it, how are you going to be expecting the other side to fulfill their part of it?
Because it's counterproductive too. Because we're gonna talk about AEW in a little bit, but it's like you recently did the thing of Ricky, so and that's somebody that hasn't been on television for like over a year, so it's kind of counterproductive that you're having these other releases, and then you got Rey Fenix, probably one of the biggest ones that like very questionable with his overall position, because it's like you got that extended injury time. He was supposed to be out last year, but it got extended for like another year. So it's like counterproductive, as I said. So it's like, oh, you're doing something with this, but you're not doing it with him. That don't make sense. That don't add up. Because he should have been a part of our initial discussion before this report even came out. It just seems really weird to me. It's like, why is that guy getting kicked to the curb if you're releasing all these other people and not doing anything with him.
Yeah. And the
So
worst part too, like at least now talking about it and like Ray Phoenix not getting released now yet. Um it's the fact of how Penta's being presented in WWE.
yeah,
And it's like there's obviously going to be some part of ego there where Tony Khan is not going to want to feel embarrassed for the way that WWE present Ray Phoenix, like they presented Penta, and then people going back to Tony Khan being like, "Well, why didn't you do this with him?"
mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, hell, day one,
Oof.
WWE had masks ready to sell for Penta.
Yeah.
Day one. And how many years were both him and Ray Phoenix on AEW's payroll? How many years?
Yeah,
And not a single mask?
I wouldn't be surprised in the
Like,
slightest that they actually had things prepped for even Phoenix too. Just
oh
like how
yeah.
because I remember we were talking about how Penta even had merch done like around the fall time. And I'm pretty sure it was the same
Mm-hmm.
thing with Phoenix as well. Wouldn't be surprised if there's like a Phoenix shirt, a Phoenix mask. So
Yeah.
whenever he comes over, I wouldn't be surprised if you see that in like the WWE shop tweet somewhere on X where it's like advertising something that was done months prior
Mm-hmm.
because they were originally supposed to be there. And it was even said, I believe, that they were trying to negotiate behind the scenes of where they wanted to go, which I think was probably one of the kickers that really put them in that position to begin with.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, good. It's actually being considered because you kind of look like an idiot having these other guys go and then he's still there. Like, why?
Yeah.
But
Why?
hoping tomorrow,
I would
over the
say,
weekend, sometime next week, hopefully you get that update from Fightful where it's like Ray Phoenix has been released from AEW. Because it's also heading into WrestleMania season. That would feel so fucking good. Getting a little special moment with Phoenix if he could do something with his brother at WrestleMania season. Well, depending on how things are structured, of course. I don't want to just say just throw him in there with Penta. But, you know, I'm just happy that it's at least in motion. Because Chris Featherstone, he's been spot on about a lot of shit.
Yeah.
When it comes to a lot of his reports, I'm happy that this is something that's in motion.
Same
but
here.
Going back to our WWE releases, Blair Davenport. This is the one that I have one of the biggest issues with, only because this is probably going to be a reoccurring discussion that we'll talk about when it comes to the draft or whenever an NXT talent gets called up from NXT to a SmackDown or a Raw. If you're not going to utilize them on television, do not bring them up to the main roster because Blair Davenport, she had a little thing with Naomi. And then outside of that, I mean, it didn't really go anywhere. She was off television. She's been absent. We haven't seen her doing anything. She was backstage at the Rumble. She was actually supposed to be in the spot if Alexa Bliss didn't come back. And I heard she was originally supposed to actually be with, you probably remember on SmackDown recently this Friday, where you had Chelsea mentioning, oh, we might need some more security here. Blair Davenport was actually supposed to be inserted in that spot. So she was actually supposed to be a part of Chelsea Green, Piper, and Piper Niven's posse. So
yeah, they apparently had things ready to go for her too, like a whole new outfit. I think they were gonna go with like I mean, not a completely different name, but like something different for her. But man, that would have been so cool to see her like part of that because it would have again helped elevate her a little bit, help her kind of get some of those acting chops, I guess, for it. But yeah, that at least out of this list. Well, there might be a couple others too that fall into what I'm about to say, but like Blair Davenport, at least in this list, seems like the biggest dropped ball from WWE.
Oh yeah,
because like they could have done so much more with her. I mean, and especially with having a mid card title now, like you kind of need to have those main event scenes a little. There needs to be a little bit more of a pool to kind of go through when it comes to the women's division, not only just in the mid card titles, but also with the tag titles and all that. But that's neither here nor there.
Our next one is Cedric Alexander, which is a very great talent. Big fan of. I've always loved Cedric. Like I said, he's a very talented performer. He had some success when they had the cruiserweights thing going on in
Yeah.
WWE like years ago, but he's been a background player. I think he did a little something with Apollo Crews. I don't really remember on top of my head because they never had him on television. He went to NXT. He was working alongside Javon Evans. Him and Javon were buddies, and that was pretty much his role. Just like how Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are down there doing something for a little bit, and then he got released as well. Which again, I'm not really surprised because they weren't actually. Another thing I remember, he actually recently signed a contract last year, if I'm not mistaken. I remember he's like signed some sort of contract, but now he's gone from the company. I mean, I already know where he's heading next. If I'm making a guess, once we get there, but
we hurt people.
Yep,
we hurt people. I mean, the connections are there, so he would do well in there.
But yeah, Cedric, what were your thoughts on this one?
I mean, not too much really, because again, they weren't really using him too much. So it's like, okay, yeah, might as well just let you go since we're not really using you. Because like, yeah, they had such a start stop with him at a few times. I mean, again, with the hurt business, he was doing really well, but then Vince just broke them up for no apparent reason. Yeah, I mean, not really much to really say. Oh, I'm gonna miss you, dude. But like, yeah, not much.
Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the Good Brothers, they're gone. Not really surprised there because I mean their main role really was just to be there alongside AJ. Once AJ started going solo again and doing his own thing, especially when they had like that little split with them on SmackDown that they were doing. They weren't really there, and I believe Carl Anderson is also out with injury right now. But yeah, I'm not really that surprised with that one.
No, I'm not either. I mean, it always seems like they were getting injured, so it was probably just one of those things where it's like, all right, you guys are. I mean, you also kind of don't want to say this either, but I mean, it probably should be said. They are kind of getting up there in age as well.
Yeah.
So more injuries are going to be happening more often than not.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, they always felt more like Japan guys, anyways. Even when they were with AJ, like they had decent chemistry with AJ, but like not much really went through between them. And I mean, we could have had a blow off with AJ and Carl Anderson. That would have been cool, but we just didn't. So, yeah. I wasn't really shocked when I saw that one, I guess.
Me either. The one I was a little shocked on, a little bit, was Isla Dawn. That one threw me off guard because they were doing pretty good for the most part when they had that big moment. Or the Clash at the Castle where they won the belt with the tag team championships at Scotland, which felt like the direction they were going when they're building up to that program to get their home, to get that really that home moment where they win the titles there. But then after that, Bianca and Jade won the titles back shortly after, and they haven't really been featured prominently on there. And I think Isla Dawn, for the most part, she's been on a lot of those speed things. I mean, just recently on Wednesday, she was like on the speed thing, even though she's not a part of the company, which these things are like taped every Friday, I believe. But it's like, that's the last time you're going to see her in the company. My biggest question really is, they're going to have to do something with Alba Fire because she's still there, which I feel like she could. I'm not really worried about her as much, only because she was pretty much a solo act to begin with in NXT UK, where she was known as Kaylee Ray, and she had like I forgot, it was like 600 something run with an NXT UK championship. So she does have that credibility behind her when it comes to her like performing as a single star. So that's probably the best thing that they can really do for her. But hoping things works in her favor. Hoping there's some sort of plan where you're not just leaving her by herself just because Isla Dawn's gone. Another create a star moment, hopefully.
Yeah. And plus, like, they were starting something with Blair.
Yeah.
like shortly after Clash of the Castle, and
That's
then they
true.
just kind of dropped it too. So like, I wonder what was supposed to come from that, or what that was supposed to look more like.
Then I'm gonna lump these ones together: Giovanni Vinci and
Yeah.
Elektra Lopez. Elektra Lopez, for the most part, she was there with Les Garza, so that was pretty much her thing. She's pretty much like one of the managers there, just tagging along with the group. She didn't really get as much screen time besides being a part of like the United States Championship tournament. Like outside of that, she didn't really do much behind the scenes. Weren't really doing much of her. Giovanni Vinci thing. I'm not gonna lie. The images that people were using when it showed that he was released, I actually get a little crack out of me because they were using that image of him when he had that roll up and he had that shocked face. So at the same time, I'm supposed to take it as a serious moment that he got released from the company, because obviously it's a pretty fucked up thing to lose your job. But the fact that they used that shock face when he got rolled up by Apollo Crews for the very first time, I started laughing because it's almost like it's his initial reaction to getting released, and they just use that fucking photo.
Yep.
But he wasn't doing anything either. And I know there's like a rumor about I don't really want to dive into it on here, but I know there's like a potential rumor behind the scenes between like, well, if you know about it, obviously you've seen it online, but I don't know if that factored into anything. But really, after he got kicked from Imperium and he got drafted to SmackDown after the whole draft, it wasn't even a part of the show. He was drafted on X. He didn't really do anything. He had all these vignettes. He came back. He came out the little tracksuit and everything. He was taking it off. He got rolled up. Nothing really happened.
No, I mean they again. He's a solid worker. It's just
yeah.
As soon as he was quickly defeated by Apollo Crews that night, he it was just the beginning of the end for him. Yeah, I'm sure he'll do fine wherever he ends up.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to AEW releases, Malachi Black's contract was expired on that Monday, so we know where he's heading next. I even believe Zelina Vega teased Malachi Black when it came to that shadow, that image she posted on her X account, where it kind of resembled Aleister Black or Malachi Black. I mean, whatever name he goes by, I don't really care. But
yeah,
he's definitely coming back. He's another guy that like started out pretty hot in AEW, got that big win over Cody, put him over, did something with the House of Black of him, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews and Julia Hart. Then after that, he wasn't really pushed in the sort of direction a lot of people saw for him getting a second chance. So I get this is probably the best thing for him.
Yeah, definitely the best thing for him. I mean, Triple H knows how to book Malachi Black.
Oh yeah.
And especially after his first stint on the main roster.
Yeah.
Vince had no idea how to use him at all. But yeah, I'm confident Triple H is going to push him in a good direction. And plus, we could probably get a program with him and Andrade. Like, Zelina ends up kind of mixing it up with Andrade, or
I even saw someone bring something up. It's obviously fantasy booking, but I even saw somebody bring it up where if they really want to build a story around Drew McIntyre's WrestleMania opponent, they could pull a Seth card and have him debut, have him come back at WrestleMania, and Drew's wondering who his opponents is, and out comes Malachi Black. What a fucking arrival that'd
shout.
Be. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just means that Drew's probably going to lose that match, which...
Yeah.
I mean... Drew's nearing the point where it's just like he can lose big matches like that, and he'll be fine.
Yeah. But I'm sort of expecting him to come back beforehand, because they really want to capitalize on a lot of this momentum they have going on. Miro's a little up. Miro got released too. His contract was actually supposed to end around spring of next year, of 2026. He got released. I know we recently saw a picture of him and Sheamus chilling and everything. Obviously, I'm not going to look into that too much. They're obviously friends behind the scenes, but I could potentially see him coming back. It's a little bit up in the air with him, but he definitely would be. He definitely would be a good shout for like the mid card division. I can even possibly see him having programs of like Gunther, Andrade. A lot of you could have something with like him and Sheamus again, him and Breaker, him and Carmelo Hayes, etc. So on. Whoever comes up in that scene. All depends what he wants to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think with Miro too. I mean, we talked earlier about NXT and how it's really not that much of a downgrade.
Yeah.
I mean, Obafemi does need some good competitors. He does need some legit competition, and Miro's just right there. So.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Hey,
I mean, another name you could throw in there.
Yeah.
Ricky Starks already talked about, so we're not gonna really talk about that. Ray Phoenix, me and Watkins already went over the report that just came out.
Yeah.
So I guess this is probably an easy response for this question. Why were they released? I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say it. They weren't really utilized as much on television. That's basically the reason why. And a lot of the names that were released from both companies made sense because of those very reasons. They were held back. There was no creative plans. So that's my response on that.
Yeah. And kind of the same here. I mean, they weren't really doing too much of anything, or in the case of the AEW ones, they wanted out of their contracts, because they weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of them, I do want to know, like I said with like AOP, I feel like there's a story there.
Yeah, there has
with why they were released, and because especially with them coming back to the company, maybe the same with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, but that one I feel is somewhat self-explanatory. But that would just be the other one too, and I guess. Maybe the other one would be Isla Dawn, because again, she had that big moment in Clash of the Castle, and Alba Fire's still there, so it's like, okay, why? Like, why just her then?
Yeah. I guess if you're like going down there, like I'll probably have to say the same thing about AOP. Really confused, because they had like a lot of tries on the main roster, never really worked out.
Yeah.
And probably I guess the whole Giovanni Vinci situation, because he's a good wrestler. I mean, I've seen what he's done before in NXT when he was on there. So that's definitely one that I'm very curious about. And the next question we really have here, could their careers have been salvaged in their companies? What is your initial thoughts on like several key players in there?
I mean, I think Blair Davenport, if they had definitely went the route that they were going to with, putting her in with Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, I think that would have helped her with her career in WWE. Isla Dawn, I mean, it for her and Alba Fire, it's really just putting them on TV and having them do more than nothing. You know, I mean, again, you had also them possibly teaming up with Blair Davenport, which again would have been fine. It would have given them something to do. And then with AEW, I mean, it's just more so the same. Just put them on TV, and like I guess with the case with Malachi Black, I mean, have him be. You could have had him just be in more singles stuff compared to the trios division. Yeah,
I agree with that too. Like I felt like Malachi coming to AEW, he could have benefited having that second chance to really push himself in the main event scene that Triple H really wanted him to do. I could definitely see that now that he's coming back. I could definitely see him being a main event player that Triple H pretty much doing what Triple H originally wanted to do with Vince not there. I could definitely see that in motion compared to how it didn't happen in AEW. Because like again, getting a win over Cody, you expect that to do wonders for him. Miro was barely on television, and that's the whole reason why they collated Collision for people like him and Thunder Rosa to go over there and do something. And the last match he had on there was against Andrade at World's End 2023. So it's like nothing came out
with
of that.
his ex involved.
Yeah.
Like so much has happened between 2023. Well, end of 2023 and now. Like Yeah, just even the landscape itself is just
Yeah.
different. But
And then Ricky, like a homegrown talent, could have benefited off of that, didn't capitalize on it. Blair Davenport could have done something with that. Isla Dawn, again, using them on TV, stuff like that. Thoughts on 90-day no complete clauses? What I will say with this is I'm not entirely against it, only because I feel like it gives them enough time to really figure out where they want to do with their career next, instead of just being off the chains right off the start. And, take into account some people, it could work with them where they're like, okay, I'm ready. But it's like, people like Ricky, for example, he's been away for so long, so he already knew what he wanted to do. But, people like Blair Davenport, she might try to reevaluate, oh, what do I want to do? Do I want to go back to Stardom? Do I want to go back to New Japan and do what I did before? Does Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson want to do another New Japan stunt? So I feel like the 90-day thing gives them time to adjust what they want to do, if they want to think of a new character to do, and then they can go from there. So I don't feel like it's a bad thing, because at least to me, it feels like it gives them time to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it was Indy Hartwell not too long ago had a tweet, or she had a video or something kind of talking about that with a 90-day non-complete.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, because like, and especially on the side of like the humanity of it all, because like, yeah, you just lost your job, you kind of need some time to process that,
Yeah.
and I mean, again, you do want to hit the ground running after losing your job like that, but like, yeah, you do need some time to just kind of sit there and kind of mull everything over. And just like what Drop was saying, it's just like, you could use that time to, think of what your new gimmick could be, where you could be going. Yeah, just things like that.
And where they could possibly go next. So for Sonya Deville, I could say TNA, because I feel like you got to make it equal on both playing fields, because, Jordan Grace just came over to WWE, and you could have like other people coming from TNA to WWE eventually down the line. But I feel like she could definitely go to TNA if she wanted to start something there. Paul Ellering and Authors of Pain, I really do not know. Blair Davenport, I already said she could probably go back to Stardom or do something in New Japan. Cedric Alexander, I feel like that's easy. AEW to really have the Hurt Syndicate all together like the original team. I could easily see Bobby Lashley just giving that title to Cedric Alexander, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, I can see them going to New Japan. Isla Dawn, I do not know. I'm going to be 100% honest, I do not know. Giovanni Vinci, I could see him being a Ring of Honor, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Lecter Lopez, another one I do not know. Malachi Black, obviously WWE. Ricky, we already know that one. He made his debut on Tuesday. Ray Phoenix is going to be in WWE. He's going to be part of the main roster of his brother. Miro, it's kind of like a toss in the air. He could go back to WWE, could go to TNA, or he could just continue gaming on his Switch channel, for all we know.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on where these people could go?
I mean, kind of the same boat with like the AEW people. They're all basically WWE bound and all that.
Yeah.
Sonya Deville, she does kind of feel like a TNA person.
Yeah.
So she could go there and do some stuff. AOP, I feel like they're just gonna run the indie circuit like they did last time.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see either AEW or TNA picking them up.
I could see GCW, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Blair Davenport, I feel like she's gonna go back to like Stardom and all that, because they've already apparently reached out to her and said, "Hey, welcome home," or something like that. So yeah, cool. Cedric Alexander, he's probably gonna be AEW bound. Like there are some reports too coming out being like, yeah, AEW's looking to grab him as soon as they can. So cool, neat, awesome. Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, they could do to Japan. I know they've had history with TNA, so they could always go back there. Isla Dawn, she could definitely benefit from TNA, I think.
Yeah.
Giovanni Vinci, that is a good shout for Ring of Honor. So, yeah, I could probably keep him on there. And Electra Lopez is, I mean, I don't want to keep throwing TNA in there, but I mean, she could probably do that or just maybe some indie stuff. I really don't know with her. She's the one that's like a toss up for me.
So that's honestly our show, guys. Like, we had a lot of fun discussions tonight. Hopefully there's some interesting things they break out during the weekend and the following week, especially when it comes to WrestleMania season, when it comes to potential rumors, Elimination Chamber. Possibly we might even get more WWE releases and AEW releases like we went over with Rey Fenix, because it definitely feels like they're in their spring cleaning phase. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this was done on purpose. It kind of seems like it fell in line with AEW too right after the WWE stuff, so they probably know how the company operates. So, I mean, I'm not praying for releases, but I'm also saying I wouldn't be surprised if you see some more.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Other than that, guys, I want to thank you guys for listening to Grappling with the Week. And before we head out, as always, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms when it comes to our X, our Instagram, when it comes to our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to this and just any social media platforms. You can find all that fun stuff in the description below. And also be sure to follow me and Watkins and Vash and the Weebs of the Ring, so you could keep up to date with us, anything that goes on within Anime We Studios, as well as following us on Anime We Studios on X. Be sure to also use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us before, during, or after our shows. Feedback is always appreciated, as we are nothing without you guys tuning in. Grappling of the Week is presented by Anime We Studio. Thanks to our production team for all of your hard work. Thank you for joining us, and shout out to Stu for helping with the recording of this podcast. We're going to have a busy year with Cena since his retirement tour, so I appreciate his time here. And have a good night, everybody. And we'll see you guys for our coverage for Friday Night SmackDown. Hopefully, me and Watkins can have fun with that show, because it's been pretty weird with SmackDown lately, but hopefully we can have some sort of fun discussion come out of that. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yep, hopefully the 3 hours are worth it.